In economic news, the American Secretary of Treasury, Stephen Mnuchin, recommends all national and theme parks drain their aquariums, fountains, wells, and ponds to reclaim discarded change as a means to invigorate the floundering economy. Well, if you wanted honesty, you've come to the wrong place. This is the Disinformed podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm John.
And I'm Michael.
And we welcome you back to another week of fun and frivolity where we are going to discuss pizza.
A lot of pizza.
All the pizza.
Which isn't
So
surprising
much.
considering that's what you do to earn your keep, Michael, is make decent pizza?
No.
Passable pizza?
Yes.
gonna
Passable
say.
when you're blackout drunk at 3 a.m.
Oh, so you're the Filibertos of the pizza chains.
Oh, yes, most certainly. Hungry Howie's, at least next to the place that I work at, is the Philly Bees of pizza chains.
And in fact,
Okay.
the one that you work at, there is a Philly Bees not even a minute walking from Hungry Howie's.
I don't know how you can run that fast, but I guess that's fair. It's more like a 5-minute walk, but I mean, I guess if you're just hauling ass, you could probably get there in a minute.
Well, he's my only means of conveyance.
I mean, if we're talking about the Democratic Party, I guess we're dragging something along behind us.
Political hot takes.
See, I'm actually impugning both parties now. It is not strictly partisan here. I will impugn everyone.
That's fair. They're both worthy of
I
impugning.
hate everything with equal measure.
I hate everyone regardless of other issues. I have been very clear on this for years and years.
You know what party I really like, though? There's a party, I think it's in Sweden. It's the Pirate Party.
Oh, I thought it was the party in your pants.
I thought it was the Lemon Party.
Definitely not that one. You should do an episode on that. Shock websites.
I
Be
would
great.
rather not. You already did urine therapy, so we're basically there.
I'm going to do an episode on Eddie Murphy's, hit single, Party All the Time.
That would actually be a lot more interesting than on shock websites.
You'd assume.
Why would someone so good at being a comedian make something so mediocre?
Man, don't you impugn that song. It's more popular than our podcast's ever going to get.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Our podcast, since apparently it's mountain time.
Podcasters.
So I was thinking about last week and the lethargy that, besieged me as I attempted to introduce everyone to our good friend and cohort, Phoenix Jones. And it occurred to me, so I had to work before we recorded. And normally Wednesdays are kind of the day that I work from home to give myself a bit of a midweek reprieve, and I can get my breath and then go back into dealing with the mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging cousin fuckers that I deal with week by week.
Roll Tide.
Thank you. And it had occurred to me that we all need to kind of give ourselves a little bit of tolerance and grace and endorse how we are dealing with reality presently, because there is no stasis that we can get to. Like, our equilibrium is almost perpetually thrown off. Because even as we're saying, like, oh, yeah, things are being opened back up again, we're all falling into a rhythm. It's like, we're working from home. We're not working from home. We're changing the way that we do our jobs day to day. Like, everything incrementally or monumentally changes almost to the minute. So it's like, there is really no way to get a baseline for anything these days. And we were just talking about that as like my schedule, even though I feel like I should be kind of hitting a rhythm now, we're just never going to have a rhythm because I'm not really technically doing my job. I'm going around doing mask enforcement in a library, which is just antithetical to what my actual tasks are.
You didn't know that your security gig in Havasu would come back to haunt you so bad.
Yes, I got paid a lot less to do that job, and I was threatened with firearms as opposed to here, where I'm just threatened by idiots with germs. But I mean, it's no less deadly, which is open to debate, apparently, if YouTube's to be believed. But John, please, continue your point.
Boy.
Oh, no, I was going to say, like, I kind of feel you on that to the point where, like, I think I've already said it before on the podcast, but one of Becky's friends, and I think she listens to our podcast. Anywho, she was saying that your New Year's resolutions you don't have to follow those that strictly this year, and that any good grace that you have, you can just take it in stride, and like you don't have to be stringent to the goals that you started before everything kind of went fuck up. And it's been a big help for me on days where I've either been under, like not as enthused or too enthused. Let's call that binge drinking. You know, like when I'm Sam level drunk and I'm debating calling just a random asshole at like 1 a.m. I'm like, I made a resolution at the beginning of the year. It's on the count. Luckily,
and those are her students.
Yeah.
I just wish you weren't such a fuck up with the violence, okay? Because you could be a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm best at this, and I teach you to be best at later.
Listen, Bish.
Okay.
What hand do you bow with?
This is Timmy. I don't know why you're calling me Miss Sam.
Oh, man. When Sam finally listens to this podcast again, and 2 years from now, she's going to be very upset.
We haven't knocked on her for a while. Now I think about it.
Neither is Tony, probably.
As I said, we're not getting into our rhythms these days, gentlemen. It's just a lot more difficult to stay on target.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotten to the point that I've always, like, in working in craft beer, what I want to do, and I still want to do, is I don't want to work with the public at all.
Oh,
like,
stop adding cheese.
Fuck. What? I want to go into production and like actually just like brew and just work with like a close group of people and just, you know, do the actual like technical side of things.
Okay, so you're working on that mixtape.
Exactly, and I'm going to sell it for $20, and when you finally listen to it and get home, you're going to realize that it's just the blank that's at the end of the stack and the start of the stack. Which
flames.
There's an awesome story from 2 episodes ago on In Separate Rooms, where one of their co-hosts goes into how he got scammed in Seattle by someone, and he did buy a $20 mixtape that was in fact blank.
I can never imagine, like, I used to charge people $20 for a CD, and for the ceaseless amount of haranguing I would get at a register, at, again, a chain I did not own, for somebody who's like, how can you guys afford to charge something, you know, this sort of insignificant that you're going to charge $24 to sell this CD? And I was like, well, you know, we did import it from China, so there's that.
And you are buying it, which means that the price isn't too damn high, so...
Yeah, just, oh, man. And these are the people that would actually ask you to open the CD after they'd bought it as well, so you would just sit... I had a whole method down for, you know, I had a guitar pick that I would keep on my necklace that I could then insert into the side of the plastic to rip the wrapping off, take the front cover off, and then run through everything. But yeah, that was a service I had to offer to people, is I will unwrap your CDs for you, which was grand.
That's so crazy. I'll get back to the brewing thing in a second, but you just triggered like a whole thing. I had my own method of opening CDs back in the day too, because, you know, you want to get it by the time you're back to your car.
Right.
Or whatever. I ended up doing the hinge approach, where you would bust it.
That's what I was referring to, yeah.
Yeah, you bust it off the hinge, and then I would just flip it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just tear the label off. But then they started getting way too crafty, and they started putting more security tape. Like on the actual, you know, where it opens up, they put 2 little like security tapes, and it fucked up the hinge approach.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. You had the whole wrapper thing that you had to peel off, and then they had tapes on each end of the disc that you had to peel off each. It was the same thing for video games.
Yeah.
So if we have any listeners who were not born, you know, after 1998 right now who are listening, we've officially alienated them.
Yeah.
What a zoomer.
Speaking of, I did make a note, and I mentioned it to you guys, but it's easy to think that we live on our own little island because, you know, we're Americans, and that's our cross to bear. You know, it's not our fault that we were born in a shit country. Anyway.
That is literal, you know, first world problems presently. We're complaining about being born in a country where our bellies are not distended and our eyes aren't crawling with flies right now.
True. But anyway, I just wanted to take a quick second to shout out to the people that have been listening to us in Italy. We got someone in Australia. We got
that's
some
you,
folks.
Liam.
I
said I was going to say, you said Australia, and I'm like, I got to give a shout out.
Don't get sand in your vagina right now, Michael. Give us a second.
And Liam, just for you, I'll go ahead and I'll channel your energy. Michael, you're a cunt. And also, I'd like to thank the people listening in the UK and Belgium. It was really cool to see random, and not in some of those areas, there's a handful of people. It was really cool to see. But
worldwide, my friends.
Yes.
World star.
I don't think you say these things. I don't think you know what they mean. I've been entertaining, I've been daydreaming while at work, quitting my job and immediately going somewhere else. I saw there's an ad, or I saw an Instagram ad or a post for Changing Hands bookstore in Tempe. And they're like, hey, we're hiring. And I was like, well, if I'm already dealing with the public, at least then I could not have them be drunk. The first gig that I ever worked, I did summer volunteering at public libraries when I was younger, and I really enjoyed the work. I've Shane, who's a great friend, a life mate, if you will, and his career and is in a library. I know so many people, and I was just like, man, this could be it. This could be it.
Until,
well, I looked at
it's
the
a
pay.
bar.
No.
Oh. Well, it is actually. They do have bars in Changing Hands.
They do in the downtown location, and it's a nice bar.
It is.
And then I had a gal come into the store last night, and she works at a brewery that I respect.
Galrilla?
Galrilla Godot, if you will.
Gasp.
And she works production, and she's a packaging tech. So to my mind, what that means is she's just putting the little 4-pack or 6-pack holders. She's just assembling the cans and putting them into flats, and that's what she does for 10 hours a day. She does 4 10s, 3 days off. And I was like, holy fuck. That sounds amazing right now. And she goes, yeah, it's dog shit pay, though. Dog shit. In my head, again, I was just like, I would eat the dog shit. I would eat the dog shit. And then I come home, and I'm talking to Becky about it, and I'm like, I mean, would this kill us? Financially? If that happened? And she goes, yeah, you'd be making substantially less.
And I don't have to buy dog shit in order to eat.
And I don't make a lot to begin with. Keep in mind, I work at a craft beer bar, and I my 2 things that I do is the craft beer bar and this podcast, and then when music comes back, music. I am very, very fortunate to have somebody that doesn't mind that I'm a colossal fuck up in almost every way.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anywho, Shane, I sympathize, and I feel like I'm in the same-ish boat. We don't have to have the same experiences to be on the same row, so...
I routinely had joked with Melissa because she was going back and was going to school while we first started dating. And the common running theme throughout was that, oh, yes, well, I'm enduring this now so that later on you can take care of me in the manner I'd like to become accustomed to. So I will officially either quit my job or I will retire early and make nothing. And then I can just live off your teat for the rest of our, grown lives until I die early from just the inconsolable rage that I have brimming in my stomach right now.
It's I can see it on camera.
It's a fire inside, and this is not Dark Souls. So, speaking of Dark Souls, though, and our listenership, we had, as John referred to earlier, some interesting interactions with the general public via our YouTube videos, where during the urine therapy, apparently we had someone who indicated that they heartily believe that cough vid is made up, and anyone who believes it is a floundering dumb fuck. And I just want to reaffirm, I have never claimed to be anything other than a floundering dumb fuck, but I'm also one who is not going to cough himself to death anytime soon. So you can sit and spin, you silly waste of your mother's sloppy shit running down her thighs. Secondarily, though, we did have another individual who also posted with just a link, and the individual was the picture for the profile is a Guy Fawkes mask, and I forget what the handle was, and I muted the comment, so it's disappeared from the world. But I was like, I'm not following whatever rabbit hole it is, but it was just a hyperlink with "watch this" posted next to it. I went, oh yes, so here's the someone listened to the Instagram debacle that was our earlier episodes and thought, well, I can at least get one of these chuckleheads to click this link. No, I have learned from my mistakes, friends. So I'm not that gullible anymore.
sorry, go ahead.
No, please continue.
I was going to say, I haven't been able to do this in a really long time, but I'd like to personally hold out my hand to that individual, the first individual, and call you a fucking beta male cuck. Get your fucking life together. Coffid. Fuck out of here. You know what this person's going to be? 100%. It's going to be that picture format that I told you guys about weeks or months ago, where it's like the first picture is like, oh, coronavirus ain't real, blah, 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 dirt don't hurt. And then there's going to be another picture in 2 weeks where it's like, oh man, this flu is really killing me. This COVID, it's pretty tough. And then the third picture is going to be your fucking obituary. And I will laugh. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. No, I will fucking laugh.
And you know what? And we have sort of belabored the point that we don't have the greatest of interaction on our social networking, which I'm going to indicate now. You can find us at. If you're on Facebook, it's going to be facebook.com/disinformed podcast. You can find us on Instagram at disinformed podcast and on the Twitters at disinformed pod. But we appreciate everybody. And I just want to express to this person who posted on our video, I am really impressed that you have taken the time away from fucking your grandmother in your mother's basement to go over to a keyboard, amble over, and attempt to educate us on something that you have no goddamn flying fucking clue about. So thank you for that. I mean, really, from the cockles of my dead heart, I hope that Satan imbues you with the flames of 1,000 hells just straight up your asshole. But thanks. Keep coasting. We're happy to have the interaction.
You'll be on your deathbed and you'll be looking up at Dr. Fauci and you'll be saying, "Save me!" And he'll look down at you and say, "No."
You're in here with me.
Do you know on any social media how I know someone is an infinite badass and you should never even try and tussle with them? Not even say a word? It's when their username says anything about being a patriot.
Oh.
Ooh, yes.
Like there's so many like little Twitter. What's ironic is I'm going to use the term and it's a keyboard warrior. And these quote unquote patriots are the people like, shut up, you social justice warrior, little hide behind your keyboard, blah 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 blah, and then they go do the same thing on a different token, like on their they put on their clan hood and just get to work.
Yeah, I was going to say, Melissa and I were also talking about this week of just like a friend of hers had a post sort of begrudging some folks their opinions at this point. And they were like, well, if you don't like this country, you can get out. And she's like, in point of fact, I actually can't because we have mismanaged this goddamn thing to such a degree that we can't leave this country. No one will take us. So no, that is not in point of fact the case. You cum-gargling blundercunt. And I hope that you just die on your daddy's dick at some point later on this week. You Alabama no-account goddamn hick. Anywho, Michael, you were saying.
That reminds me of an actual funny story involving a person that I will not mention this week, but he is a right-wing talking person, demagogue, what have you, named Ben Shapiro. He's a climate denier. And when asked with the question of rising sea levels and, coastal places being flooded and stuff, they were like, well, what do we do with these houses? And he was like, well, just sell them. I don't understand the point. Why don't you just sell your house?
Can you try a Ben Shapiro voice?
Oh, I just don't understand. I feel like my wife should be wet enough, but I just love the Sahara Desert.
So tell me this, Michael. So tell me this. So if the ocean level is rising,
much better,
and you have property on those houses, then why aren't you just trying to sell those houses? Or better yet, if the ocean level is rising and my wife is still dry, how is that even possible? Climate change isn't real. Climate change is real.
So come on. Here's what's funny about this whole thing is one,
that was good.
Applause to you, John, for yes. The skill that you just displayed. For the guy who wanted to claim he's not a voice actor.
Yeah, shit.
But I love that you told Michael to do a Ben Shapiro impression that immediately sounded just like Michael. He changed nothing. He changed his inflection, not an iota. You just changed your delivery for one sentence.
As someone that edited all those My Mortal dramatic readings, I was the weakest link by all accounts.
But again, one of the highlights of the entire thing is Fuku. So, you have moments of brilliance.
That pretty much sounds like me. Most of the time, mediocre. Yeah.
Drink.
Yeah, mediocre. And then I have, for when the planets align, everything comes into focus, and I have a shining example of a sentence or a word that just sounds great. And then I go back to mediocrity again, so.
All right, Agro, let's talk about the grand convergence later. But what we are going to talk about this week, and the Guy Fawkes mask is relevant to this conversation based on this.
Yeah.
Most of the conversations we've had during this episode have been relevant to this.
It's going to be something that John posited and thought would be fun based on the fact that we ran into some of these customers. But Michael, would you like to give a little tease for what we're going to talk about today?
So today we're going to do a multi-parter. I hope only 2, but who knows? Depends on how deep I want to go.
No, it doesn't.
On QAnon, specifically today, the history leading up to and including Pizzagate.
Oh, yes.
Yum.
But, before we get too far down into the dirge, I have an interesting thing where we have been doing hypotheticals for long enough now that I have a Shane hypothetical. And this was a bit that I've been holding on to for a while in an attempt to think about like the secondary podcast I was looking at for a while where we would talk to other individuals in the music scene here and kind of have those conversations. But I'm such a goon for high fidelity, and we've talked about it on the Damn podcast, so this might be something I'll leaven over into there from time to time. But because of the way I format playlists and things is the high fidelity code, and we kind of play to that. I have really always been prone to talking about like the Desert-Island Top 5. Like what you would do if given no other alternative. What are the things that you, to your core, love and appreciate or want to stick with? And so I was thinking about this the other day, based on the fact that I just went down a rabbit hole of Tarantino again for a minute. And Melissa was kind of giving me her overview of like, how many times have you watched this? Well, I was playing MDA 2K for, over the weekend, and I had Django on repeat. So I think I probably watched it front to back 3 times in a row.
Jeez.
While playing through, just to have on, something going on in the background so that I'm listening while I'm playing.
Which explains why you are just a Rolodex of quote.
Tends to be the case, yes, is that I do like to revisit my old friends. So in the course of this, I thought for my typical, Shane's Desert-Island Top 5 here, and this is something that, Michael, you might feel I'm trying to alienate you with. But in point of fact, I'm
always
actually
alienated.
Intrigued. Well, you're alien. And so
yeah,
I want to get your opinion because you will be something that is somewhat antithetical or contrasting to John and I in this regard.
Fair.
Because we're both kind of movie goons. So, Desert-Island Top 5, as you are going to be relegated to some place for the rest of your life, you are allowed to bring the entire collected works of 5 different directors.
Oh, shit.
And that is what and we don't have to talk about it right now. We can give it a week to marinate, but it's, something that would be interesting. But I would mostly be interested, one, if Michael can name 5 directors is going to be my primary point of interest here. That was the smile I was looking for.
If I think hard enough.
Seth MacFarlane.
Is he a director?
My poor brain.
Who's the guy that did South Park?
Ben Shapiro. Joe Rogan.
Oh man, I'm now having a complete brain fart. Thanks. I was actually thinking about who they were but I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I accept the challenge. We
okay.
Can definitely
Trey
get into
Parker
this.
and Matt Stone. That's who they are. Bam.
Except for you,
well
that's
done.
2 of 5.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that.
Yeah, just make it easier.
Since
on
they
you.
primarily work together, though, I mean, you do have to kind of lump them in as one choice, I'm afraid.
He counted it as 2, so I'm going to take it as 2.
I'm the dungeon master here, so I'm afraid that's not going to fly.
Damn. Okay.
Speaking of dungeon masters, do you want to get into the QAnon stuff?
Oh yes, so is this something we want to table and then we'll bring it up for next episode?
I need a week. Or at least maybe by the end of the episode, maybe. All right. How about this? If we end the episode and we feel a little too dirty and it feels like too grimy, because I have a feeling that some of this stuff is going to make me not feel too great,
It will.
then maybe it'll be a nice like palate cleanser, not just for me, but for the listener to like maybe.
That was my hope. Yeah, is to, give something that was a little bit more sort of like engrossing as far as like us sharing passions and things that we appreciate before we delve down into the muck and the mire.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, well, then we'll get into that at a moment here or maybe later on. But so what we typically do here is our glorious segue into our actual topic, is we will present a random esoteric topic or something that's a little obscure to the general public to one another and to you, the listeners, all, 500,000 of you. And what we will do is, in the course of explaining the, material itself, we will leaven in the occasional lie just to fool one another, and it is then incumbent on the co-hosts to ferret out the fact from the fiction, to separate the wheat from the chaff, and then call it by its name, Scream Posse or Interloper. And that is our general run. Unfortunately, though, there are no points for a correct answer, and no one will ever win at this game because we are all perpetual losers, and that is why you love us. So, Mr. Michael, take us away down the steamy and slippery rabbit hole that is QAnon.
QAnon?
Okay. First off, everyone should open a drink
Got it.
because you're going to need it.
I poured myself a beer before. What are you guys drinking?
Fuck if I know. The Best Brown by Bell's.
Okay.
You would be
Shane's.
drinking shit for this episode. I have a glorious strawberry cucumber aha, which is John's plague that he is, forced upon me.
That's so
and
good.
me as well. I have, I think, 4 different 6-packs in the fridge right now.
So do you
I
want me
got the
to-
blueberry, I got the watermelon, I got the honey and peach, and then I have the
Which is
citrus
amazing.
and green tea.
Yeah, let me show you a little peek into your future here. So it's a slippery slope, and I said before that I really, really have been jamming the limoncello LaCroix to the point that I found, like, I was at my sister's apartment, and she had a candle that was limoncello scented, and I immediately bought a 3-wick. It's what I'm burning right now in the background. God,
All right.
So you're going to get to a point where you're like, not only do I love the taste and the flavors, I need to smell it all the time,
Oh,
too.
goodness gracious.
I poured a Arizona Wilderness La Ciudad IPA, and it tastes great because I'm a hipster.
All right, then. It's unfortunately, we are so far down the rabbit hole in this home that I look like an alcoholic because the amount of cans that I am dumping into our recycle bin on a daily basis is shocking.
Speaking of which, someone stole my trash can yesterday.
You leave your girlfriend out of this.
Was it someone from QAnon?
No, well, yeah, I think I'll blame it on QAnon. It's all part of the deep state conspiracy. No, someone switched our trash can, which had 2 wheels and was fully functioning, with a 1 wheel with the axle coming off trash can.
Okay.
So that was cool.
Game respect game. I mean, it's free for all. Just go grab whatever you can
They
take.
have barcodes on our trash cans, so we're going to try and contact the town that I live in and see if we can try and get them fined for stealing our trash cans.
I was about to name drop that because it's such a very Republican thing to do. And you are
it's not necessarily barcoded. It has a unique
No, I'm talking about the switcheroo, the opportunistic.
Yes.
Yours works better than mine. You don't need it.
I'll take that. Survival of the fittest. So
Or
speaking
sickest.
of, yes,
Stop. Back into your system.
Indeed. I'm
QAnon.
salivating.
Jeez. QAnon is a far-right conspiracy theory alleging that a cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles... cabal? Sorry.
Thank
cabal.
you. I'm going to have a drink here.
That's fair. That a cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles running a global child sex trafficking ring is plotting against President Donald Trump, who is battling them, leading to a, quote, day of reckoning involving the mass arrest of journalists and politicians. Literally after that, Wikipedia writes, no part of the theory is based on fact.
So it fits into our podcast very well already.
Well, excuse me, but they have alternative facts. And that is just as valid as anybody else's bullshit.
Ooh.
Listen, it's not the truth, but what is the truth, Michael? So let's say, Mike, what is the truth? What? So, like, if you tell a lie, and Shane tells a lie, then I tell a lie, then aren't we all technically on the same page? So isn't that a truth?
So here's the deal. If you wake up one morning and you decide that you were born a fucking cucumber, what, do I have to address you as a cucumber now for the rest of your life? What, do you think you're just going to toss a salad? You're just going to cover yourself in vinaigrette and expect me to eat you? Well, I'm not going to fucking do it because you're not a fucking cucumber.
Listen, I'm just saying that if Rick Sanchez, if he can turn himself into a cucumber for a whole episode to get out of group therapy, then I don't have to go to therapy with my wife if we don't like each other. I don't have to.
And what if she decides to use that cucumber instead of me and pickles it in her own special sauce? Huh? What if that makes her wetter than I'm ever going to fucking be able to? That's unfortunate for me. It's unfortunate for you. That's not the way to eat a salad. I know how to eat a salad. I've been to prison. I've seen what happens.
Jesus Christ, I couldn't breathe.
Thanks for having me on the podcast, Joe. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this with you.
Anyway, so here's some more semi-racist undertones.
Okay, so the Q is actually...
At least I didn't say the other one, so...
Oh, okay. The Q is a reference to the Q security clearance used by the U.S. military, specifically the Pentagon.
Oh, so it's not James Bondage, huh?
Nope. Unfortunately not.
All right.
That's double O, thank you.
No, but okay. Q branch is
you're right.
They run through, so I just assumed, but that's, yeah.
Well, that is an entirely different country, and we don't follow what they do. We separated for a reason.
We are the country, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The Anon is short for, you guessed it, anonymous. As you'll see, as I'll explain in a little bit more detail later, the whole conspiracy, which the FBI has determined to be a potential source of domestic terrorism. It started on everyone's favorite website that we have mentioned in the past, 4chan, before moving on to its racist big brother, 8chan, and after that closed down and was reopened and rebranded, 8kun.
8chan is false.
It is not.
Fuck
8chan is a real... It's actually, technically, it's now 8kun, because that website was closed down. It's called that. It was shut down after I think it's the El Paso shooting, because the shooter was had explicit ties to 8chan.
Jesus.
So the website was closed down. I think the owner at the time, the one that created 8chan, closed it down. It's now under new management.
Are they technically dark web? Like,
I mean, I guess you can access it.
Okay,
you can lurk there.
Then it's not. Because my understanding is, like, if you're on the dark web, like, you have to have, like, logins. Like, you have to go through...
you got to use proxies and Tor and all that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm 97 years old, so I don't understand any of your kids' newfangled technologies, and I don't even know what 4chanies are supposed to be. So,
Shane, let me try and put it in a way that maybe you'd understand. So back when the wagon started becoming a thing, and
I invented the wheel, and I never got my proper due for that because I trademarked that shit in the sand. The rainstorm was not my fault.
When they were changing out the wagons to the first cars, and there was rubber wheels and the wooden wheels. You see what I
actually, we started with stone, John. It's
anyway. Dumb joke aside, Michael, can you continue to disgust me?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna quote. So there is actually a podcast that I think I might start listening to, called the QAnon Anonymous. Which is actually, they cover all sorts of new changing theories coming from QAnon, because it is a rapidly changing thing that pretty much encompasses a lot of stuff. I was kind of telling Sean, Jesus, fuck.
How long have we been doing this podcast?
Yeah, what's up, guys? It's Sean. You can call me Sean now.
Shane, as I was telling Shane...
Fuck you, Michael.
Actually, I don't even think I mentioned this.
You silly...
I was watching...
Hey, guess what,
you were
Michael?
saying you were
Michael,
watching?
You get to do your first favorite thing, which is editing.
Yeah. Cool. Sweet. Anyway... I was watching an hour-long video on flat Earth theory. Not a theorist, but a person talking about flat Earth.
And
halfway through the video, no. He's a round earther.
Oh, okay.
But
never mind. I love you.
He was talking about, no, I don't watch other people's trash. I watch other people dunk on the trash. Yeah, I said it. But anyway, halfway through the episode, while I'm like, okay, he's making a lot of good points. He's like, and it's kind of been dying down for a bit. And I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know this. That's interesting. Because they all went to QAnon. I'm like, oh, cool. That's awesome. I wasn't expecting that.
The Exodus no one wanted, not even God.
Yes. So QAnon Anonymous is a podcast that covers in very explicit detail, as far as I'm aware, all the goings on within the QAnon community.
All right.
And I'm going to quote, because Wikipedia had this quote, a co-host from that podcast, because as I quote, his description is full of tasty little details. That's what I wrote. Okay. He said, there is a worldwide cabal.
Thank you.
Of Satan-worshipping pedophiles who rule the world, essentially, and they control everything. They control politicians, they control the media, they control Hollywood, and they cover up their existence. And they have continued ruling the world were it not for the election of President Donald Trump. Now, Trump in this conspiracy theory knows all about this evil cabal's wrongdoing. But one of the reasons that Donald Trump was elected was to put an end to them, basically. And now we would be ignorant of this behind-the-scenes battle of Donald Trump and the U.S. military. That everyone backs him or the evil cabal, were it not for Q. And what Q is basically a poster on 4chan, who later moved to 8chan, later renamed 8kun, who reveals details about this secret behind-the-scenes battle. And also secrets about what the cabal is doing. And also the mass sort of upcoming arrest events through these posts.
Mm-hmm. So this is the reptilian elite principle that has just been flown over, so that, this is essentially Trump versus the reptilian elite, for lack of a better term.
And the guy who mistakes...
I bet you there's some people that within the community that believe that they are reptiloids as well.
Okay, well, there we are.
And they think that the guy who mistakes Adderall for his blood pressure medication is the savior of this whole movement?
Yes.
Oh, hey, we didn't cover...
Not bullshit.
Speaking of bullshit and things like that, did we say how many lies you have in part one?
No, there are 4.
4?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not 8.
No, not 8.
Or 7.
4.
Nope. Or Kun.
Or Kun. Or Kun. Or Chan. So, followers of QAnon also believe that there is an imminent event known as the Storm, in which thousands of people, members of the cabal, will be arrested, possibly sent to Guantanamo Bay, and or face military tribunals, and the military will brutally take over the country. The result of the storm will be salvation and utopia on Earth.
Okay, well, if this gentleman is going to be the one to lead us into utopia, I will take 1984 any day of the bloody week.
For sure.
Keep me subjected and chained. I will go for it.
Is this
2 plus 2 is 5?
Am I getting too ahead of the topic here by saying this brave statement that Epstein didn't kill himself?
He is part of the conspiracy. He's one of the cabal members.
Okay.
I actually don't know what the community believes, if they believe that he killed himself or that he was framed or killed or something like that. I'm not sure.
Hey, you're
that's
aware
something
that
that I might figure out later.
Already, just by posting this episode, that we're flagged on YouTube again.
Oh yeah, most certainly.
Okay.
We can't be demonetized if we haven't been monetized. So,
because when a heart breaks, no, it don't break even.
Yeah, no, don't break even. No. So
I quit.
So we're going to start from the beginning and kind of lead up to Q. So I'm actually not going to talk about Q in this episode. I'm also, in the future, not going to try and cover a lot of their beliefs because, like I mentioned before, they change and other conspiracy theories get enveloped in there. Flat Earth is part of it. You name the conspiracy theory, it's there. I was mentioning to Shane, not Sean.
Oh my God.
I don't know why I had that
I almost died of shock.
mini stroke there. I had seen someone posted, it was on r/insane Facebook, and someone had posted that the Hurricane Sally that's barreling into, I think, Florida either today or in a couple, well, as of this recording.
Like a drunk husband,
yes.
yeah.
Yes. Saying that was actually completely fake. It's all CGI, and NASA pays off the Floridians to make up that, to keep up the facade.
I actually could believe that because Florida.
I'm going to
They're
switch
too crazy.
I'm going to switch back into French now, and I want you to follow my masquerade. Is that clear?
Okay. So before I begin about Pizzagate is the big thing I'm going to be talking about. I want to emphasize something about how 4chan and I presume its brother 8chan or 8kun now operate. I'm only sure about 8 or 4chan because I lurked on there when I was a freshman and sophomore in college. Yes, I was edgy. But I assume 8chan operates similar. Yes, exactly. I was the edgiest of lords. Like, people would look at me and they would be cut.
And that's why I'm the Time Lord.
There can be only one?
Sorry, as an aside, someone had mentioned, my girlfriend told me that one of her coworkers had said that Jeremy Irons would be a good doctor.
Okay.
And I thought about it, and it's not something you'd immediately expect, but I would like to see it. You don't see it?
I didn't say I didn't see it.
Oh, you were shaking your head no. I thought...
No, I'm not bothered by it at all. I think it's not a bad call. You know, there was one that I was thinking of relative to having an entirely different take on it, but we had thrown out Idris Elba as a possibility for a James Bond at one point.
Ooh.
I went by the same rationale as like, you know what? I would actually be interested in seeing him as a doctor. But I mean, granted, in often he is not physically imposing as a character, so that might be something that is a little antithetical to who he is.
Oh, the doctor himself isn't usually physically imposing. Yeah, that's a fair point.
So, go ahead. Sorry.
No. That was I was agreeing with him. That was a fair point.
I was going to say that a little follow up from my Tenet discussion last week. That I saw a video and someone essentially called it like a timey-wimey James Bond movie.
Okay.
And the moment that they described it that way, I started thinking about it, and it made me like the movie more. And also, I desperately want to see it more, but I don't necessarily want to go sit in a theater again for a couple weeks. So, anywho, that's neither here nor there. Thanks for dealing with me.
As I'm also playing with a couple of these in my head as well, I think Gary Oldman would make a very interesting one as well.
Is he English?
He is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I was also thinking if we're going on to the realm of sort of older characters as well, as a character actor who I love would be Michael Caine.
Ooh.
Michael Caine.
That would be
a beautiful doctor. I would actually get back into watching Doctor Who.
It would change the entire rhythm that you would have had. Now, granted, we're casting males, so my apologies here that we're going back to the archetypal progenitor here as opposed to throwing, female cast members in. But that's somebody who I'd like to see. The cadence, the delivery, everything would be dramatically different. So, anywho, we were saying.
So, talking about 4chan and how I was an edgelord, not a Time Lord.
Thank you.
But I never posted. I just lurked on there because, but the reason why I bring that up is unlike the Facebooks and Twitters of the internet, where you have an account and your posts are connected with said account, the Chan boards are different. Namely, you don't need an account to post. You can post on 4chan and I presume 8chan anonymously, and no one can connect you with that post.
Is that bullshit?
What?
Okay, guess not.
No, what part?
That you don't need an account to post.
No, that's true. You can post completely anonymously.
Okay.
So on July 2nd, 2016, an anonymous poster known as FBI Anon, a self-described high-level analyst and strategist, claimed to have, quote, intimate knowledge of the inner workings of the Clinton case. Began offering lies about the 2016 investigation into the Clinton Foundation. This poster, which is what Wikipedia referred to these anons, and I kept thinking poser, so I just thought that was funny. This poster, or imposter, claimed that Hillary Clinton would be imprisoned if Trump became president. Remember that hashtag that got circulated around this time, lock her up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is normally what he does with his women, from my understanding. Just...
Or pay them off.
Woof.
Hashtag pay them off. Pay her
also,
off.
The views of the Disinformed podcast don't reflect the views of the Disinformed podcast.
Oh yeah, we haven't did that one in a
wait
long
for
time.
John to do the apologist of. Yeah.
You know, at this point, I think the blanket Disinformed disclaimer is fine with me, because we're all in this together here.
And also,
We're
as
a
we should
comedy podcast.
make a point to clarify, yes, we're trying to be funny. This is not like we are actually trying to give you scathing political commentary. So if we're respectful to everybody, you're never going to laugh. I can guarantee it.
That'd be a
Go
very
ahead,
boring
Michael.
Ben Shapiro episode for sure.
I don't know. You do a good. Both of you actually do good Shapiro impersonations, so that actually would be quite funny.
Tell me again about the Wabbits, Larry.
Around that time, we have another Anon, a HLI Anon, short for High Level Insider Anon, who hosted long Q&A sessions dispensing various conspiracy theories, including, and I found an archive of it, and I spent about a good 30-40 minutes reading through the inane, utter bullshit.
I'm sorry.
So a couple of conspiracy theories that I pulled out were one that claimed that Princess Diana was murdered after trying to stop the September 11th attacks.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Wow, that time frame doesn't jive at all. But
I double checked this. I was like, she didn't die in 2000.
Is that bullshit?
She
Is
died
that
in
bullshit?
97. No, it was
God
on there.
Damn it.
Wikipedia specifically mentioned it, and I had to search through it in order to find where it mentioned Princess Diana. But yes, she was murdered after trying to stop the September 11th attacks.
I thought she was murdered
4
to
years
up
early.
Elton John album sales, is what the argument was, right?
I like that one better.
Wait, is that real, Shane?
No, I'm just making shit up.
That was
I
good.
like it, though. I'll take that as a conspiracy
Hey, listen,
theory.
Candle in the Wind is not selling anymore. People don't know who the fuck Marilyn Monroe is. Let's jazz it up a bit. Who we got? Princess Diana? Do it.
Barack Obama and Osama bin Laden are the same person.
Laden?
Laden, whatever. Laden.
I'm going to
Okay.
go watch that famous film Aladdin tonight, and it's very
Hey, what's that
entertaining.
place in Portland? They probably had Polybius there. Was it the Aladdin?
Polybius, yes.
Yes.
And then right next door they have homeopathy clinic.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
all right.
please piss on me a little bit. Let's see.
So they said that Obama Biden, that running, sounds pretty close to Osama bin Laden. They allege.
Fuck me.
I'm going to call bullshit on that one.
Nope.
Oh, my brain. I'm just going to preface this as we're going to lose, John, more than we already normally do. This one's not going to get it.
After I found that one, and I also saw something about the USSR was broken apart because of some sort of funding for some bullshit. And after that, I was like, you know what, I'm done. I also noted that saw that there was a lot of shit about Hillary Clinton, which that was she was the target,
Right.
Literally what I said, which was the whole point of it, in my opinion. She was the center of this conspiracy. And speaking of this conspiracy, let's move on to Pizzagate. So, Pizzagate is a debunked, according to Wikipedia, who knows, could still be out there. It actually has gained more traction in this year because everything else is...
fucking why.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
it's actually gained traction in TikTok for some reason. I kept reading people doing hashtag Pizzagate in TikTok, even though they have no political or no affiliation with QAnon.
If you go onto deep TikTok, though, like dark TikTok, I believe it. There are.
I don't think we ever want to use the phrase deep TikTok ever again, because something that's inspired by a Kesha song should not ever talk about going deep, because you won't get no sleep, and you'll be up all night until the early light.
Oh, fuck me. Continue.
And then you'll have to brush your teeth with a bottle of Jack.
Now, the argument is for Pizzagate, though, if I recall, it is that, what is it? Little Caesars uses fake mozzarella for their pizza? That is Pizzagate, if I recall.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then they
Yes, no, you're right.
and then they ship them in little Wayfair cabinets.
And they put drugs in it.
Oh, shoot. I think I'll probably come across Wayfair because that is also tied to QAnon.
It is. I know that one.
Yes.
Because it was very
yeah.
recent, as of like 3-4 months ago.
So like 6-7 years ago,
Yeah.
it feels like.
I think, we had some of those board shorts, didn't we? Are they shoes?
We wear short shorts?
What the hell's a Wayfair?
It's a...
It's
it's
a condition.
God damn it.
I can't talk about it.
Damn it. Shut...
Oh, is this a reference I'm not supposed to get?
No, I'm just being
confused.
silly.
Oh, okay. Anyway, speaking of silly, it's a debunked conspiracy theory that went viral during the 2016 election. For those who don't know or who couldn't remember. I also wrote, I know the 2016 election feels like a decade ago, but honestly has only been less than 4 years.
Wait, so it's 2020 now, and 2016 was only 4 years ago?
I know. It's mind trippy. Don't call bullshit. I'm just going to tell you it's true.
We've only aged unnaturally in this time frame. Time apparently is still moving the way it's supposed to.
Okay.
So anyways, in March 2016, the personal email account of John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, was hacked. I don't know why I wrote specific information on how it was hacked. That doesn't matter. No one cares about that.
And one.
Exactly. WikiLeaks published his emails in November 2016. However, before that, on October 30th, 2016, a Twitter account that usually posts white supremacist material falsely claimed that the NYPD had discovered a pedophilia ring linked to members of the Democratic Party while searching through someone else's emails. The guy was named Anthony Weiner. He was a former politician and convicted sex offender.
Wasn't it also pronounced Wiener, depending upon who you talked to?
I didn't want to try and pronounce that. I didn't want to give you ammunition. I'm sorry.
I have actually heard it pronounced that way, so we're going to go with Wiener.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Then
Vina.
I will admit that I was incorrect with that.
Oh, I don't know.
Anthony Weiner.
This is not certifiable. I just anytime I've heard him referred to, it was always Anthony Weiner. So it could have been people being funny for once, but you never know.
Who knows? So during the whole month of November, WikiLeaks published Clinton's campaign manager's emails, and Pizzagate theorists combed through the emails, alleging that they contained code words for pedophilia and human trafficking. James Alefantis, the owner of Comet Ping Pong, a pizza shop in New York, was mentioned in the emails. Because I think he was either married or dating someone that was a Clinton supporter or something like that. I didn't write down the connection, but he was mentioned in the emails. So he was added to the search, where members of the theory trawled his social media accounts.
Say trawled?
Citing photos. Trawled. TRAWLED.
Oh, I thought you were fucking up trolled.
No, Christ, I wouldn't do that. There's some words that I know how to pronounce, no matter how dead inside and outside I am.
Now, here's the funny thing: is if they're talking about their code words, wouldn't it be funny if in all these emails it was like, Bernie is the code that they were using for the pedophilia ring?
Just really throw you off the scent.
We really got to get Bernie out of the race right now. I got to tell you.
Wait a minute, what?
I want to beat Bernie.
Let's see here. Citing photos of children, like his goddaughters, basement construction, and letters from Clinton as evidence of purported wrongdoing. Users claim some words in Alefantis' emails, for example, cheese pizza, was code for child porn. Note the first letters. And 40 extra large subs was code for 40 satanic, X for sideways cross, meaning opposite of God, meaning Satan, sacrifices.
Okay.
This story was picked up by other fake news websites like InfoWars, ran by Mr. Alex, they're putting chemicals in the water to turn the freaking frogs gay, Jones. My favorite quote from him.
Have you guys seen the very recent video of him running after someone who was talking shit to him on the street? Like calling him a piece of shit? It is watching Alex Jones try and go from an angry brisk walk to a sprint after somebody while telling him, shut the fuck up, walk away, while the person is literally shutting the fuck up and walking away is one of the best things that I've seen. I will try and find that so that you can throw it in the show notes.
And
please,
stay on top of our usual through lines here. If we've learned nothing from Jurassic Park, it's that many frogs can actually change their genders in a single gender environment in order to keep perpetuating their species. So you don't have to turn the frickin' frogs gay. The frogs can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, like life finds a way.
It does indeed, yes.
It was also promoted by such people such as Minecraft creator Marcus Notch Persson.
Bless you.
Person?
Persson.
Drink.
I don't know. Persson. I think it's Swedish or something.
Probably still Pearson, but, we'll go with it however you want to.
Yes. So everyone involved with or even tangentially related to Comet Ping Pong faced harassment. Even bands who had performed there at some point were lumped into the conspiracy. There was actually 2 bands. I think one of them was called Heavy Breathing that had to mute or censor all of their YouTube video comments because people were just flooding them. Kind of like what we dealt with the urine therapy.
That's not a real band.
I think it was Heavy Breathing. I can double check.
I just love the concept of a band called Heavy Breathing.
It's just an ASMR band.
It's either that or the radio interview chuckles would just be amazing. We have Heavy Breathing on the line here, gentlemen. Here we go.
So
Heavy Breathing is an American rock band from Washington, D.C., formed in 2010 by guitarist Eric Jackson, drummer...
Yeah, I got it. Does it say their hit single, what really put them on Billboard? It's called...
Nope, they have... I'm sorry. They released 3 albums, Body Problems, Airtight, and CPR.
Fuck off and kill yourself.
No, I actually believe...
Hey, guess what? No. This is even better. John, do you remember the band that you did a interview with Shane? What was the genre that you called yourself?
They were a party rock band, as I recall.
Heavy Breathing's genres are dance rock and noise rock.
All right.
And now, John, you've misrepresented because, as I recall, because I have followed their career, their hit single was "Are You Alone in the House?"
I like that.
All right.
That's better.
Continue,
like
Michael.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see here. Even nearby pizza shops suffered as well. Finally, and this is the last point that I'll make, someone decided to take action.
Mm-hmm.
On December 4th, 2016, a 28-year-old from Salisbury, Edgar Madison Welch of Welch's The Juice fame, arrived at Comet Ping Pong and fired 3 shots from an AR-15 style rifle that struck the restaurant's walls, a desk, and a door. Welch later told police that he had planned to, quote, self-investigate the conspiracy theory.
That's how you find tumors.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It took me a moment to click there.
So I got an old 6-shooter here.
He saw himself as the potential hero of the story, a rescuer of children. And that is an important point to make. A theory that I've heard as to why so many people have latched onto this QAnon story is precisely that.
Because
it's a story.
Children are their primary consumers over at Welch's, so he wants to make sure he keeps the profit margins up.
Listen, if all the children disappear, who's going to buy the jelly?
Who's going to get who gets the juice box? Also, what the fuck's going to happen to the juice box, kids?
I feel like, again, we have to say, this is just jokes. We're not saying the children being abducted is funny. It's not. Obviously, take a fucking joke.
And we're definitely saying, though, that Welch's, the juice company, would try to save the children if they knew that they were being in danger.
Because they're Batman in this scenario. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Or Phoenix Jones.
So, actually, that is... Actually, now that I think about it, that there are more connections to Phoenix Jones than I expected, but...
Prepare for the cut, because with a name like Smucker's, it's going to get fucked.
I like it. But the reason why I now realize that Phoenix Jones actually has a couple... he's not connected. If anything, he would be on the side of light because he's a cool guy and everything, and these people aren't.
Oh, wow, that's racist.
He's a cool guy. He's on the side of the light. Trust me, that's anyway.
All right, moving on.
Jesus Christ,
A lot of these people have sort of, yeah, exactly.
Can I just say that I want to call your story into question? I'm going to say it's a lie. He didn't say he wanted to do it because he intended to save the children. He actually did it because he welched on a bet.
What is he, fucking George Amberson?
I'm sore, and I don't mean like I'm angry like a guy in the 40s. I mean, I'm sorry, Michael, please.
Good Lord.
This is what happens when we start getting slap happy as we go completely off topic.
You're good.
I'm sorry.
Good. We're almost done.
We're almost
done,
home.
I promise.
Give me the pizza.
Yes. So,
Oh no.
as long as it isn't cheese pizza. So a story that I like, and I'll just repeat this part. A theory that I've heard as to why so many people latch onto this story is precisely that. Because it's a story, it's one that you can have control over. By being aware of this conspiracy, you can play the good guy or be the hero. Right? So it takes something that's complicated like the world, reality, society, etc., and it breaks it down into simpler concepts where everything that goes bad against you is the cabal of Satan-worshipping cannibal child abusers, right? And you have a good guy, you have a team that's going for you, you have the Avengers, led by Trump. That sounded so dirty in my coming out of my mouth.
Saying that he's one of the Avengers is just like being like, yeah, you have a Hulk, but he's neurodivergent. You know, like...
No.
I take offense to that as someone who is neurodivergent, okay?
Listen, I think if we're going to have him represented by any kind of superhero character, he's going to be like the Thing. We're just going to call him the Cheeto.
Can he be Howard the Duck?
No. He's got his haircut, but he's...
people respect Howard the Duck. Come on.
Fair. No, you're fair. The Cheeto. Okay, I like the Cheeto. What's his superpower?
Annoyance.
Ooh, okay. So he's like a bee.
Subversion of facts, inability to tell a coherent narrative. He can grab anything by its pussy. I mean, there's
also,
so many.
He has an exhaustion perk where he can have a stroke once per 3 months and just absorb it and continue. And apparently that's okay.
I swear I did not have strokes in November. I was just going in for a checkup.
Listen, I know how to drink water. It's what I do when I'm having a stroke. It's not a big deal.
Listen.
I mean, it could have been heavy water.
I haven't had a stroke for at least...
two hands.
I haven't had a stroke for at least 2 weeks. I know because my wife sends me invoices.
Also, completely unrelated... How do you clean cum off a face mask?
Very carefully. No, you get a new one.
Find out tonight on Meet the Press.
So, the end of this story, no one was harmed, and Mr. Welch was arrested by cops shortly after. He later said that he regretted how he handled the situation, but he did not dismiss the theory, and he rejected the description of it as fake news.
Actually, he said just blame it on the Jews.
That will be next week.
Oh, dear God.
Some conspiracy theorists speculated the shooting was a staged attempt to discredit their investigations. So he got casted out.
Oh,
And with that, we will end Pizzagate.
Or castrated.
He was castrated.
So there was not a single lie that we caught, Mr. John.
No.
We missed the mark.
I feel even more embarrassed about that because Michael said he just finished this up. Like, he had another topic that he was going to do and gave us this option, and we jumped on it. So, like, he had less time to prep these lies or presentation. And by the way, on a just you finishing this presentation so quickly, well done.
I literally had a hair up my ass yesterday because I didn't want to prep for the labs I had to cover.
Would you please
a literal hair.
leave the rabbits alone?
His name was Edgar.
Are you going to plug Manscaped now?
He's going to plug himself.
Because I have a hair up my ass. If I
that's what it's for.
Did Manscaped, I wouldn't after that.
Yeah, and it would be efficient, and it wouldn't cut you or hurt you in any way.
John, no, he's getting hair plugs.
Yeah, why would I need Manscaped?
I was born.
Okay, maybe not have been a literal. It should have been like a plug of hair, but
Suffering succotash.
Anyway, so the lies. Okay, any last stabs?
I'm sorry, that was funnier than you gave me fucking credit for, because it would literally be suffering succotash if you were shoving hairs up your ass.
Okay, I give it to you.
All right. Thank you. No, I have absolutely nothing that I can interject
Give me the sweet
here.
release of death, please.
Okay. The Q is a reference to the security clearance used by the U.S. military, specifically the Pentagon. It is not used by the U.S. military. It is actually a high-level security clearance used by the Department of Energy.
Oh.
Yes. I have no idea why they reference the Department of Energy, considering it's the military that's a big deal about it. Or that's part of the whole conspiracy aspect of it. So the fact that it's called Q, I don't know.
So I was sniffing around there with the James Bond nonsense, but okay. All right.
Yep. And so the next one, so you almost got something, John.
Okay.
With the 4chan question.
Okay.
Yes, you can post anonymously, but I made a mention that no one can connect you with that post.
Oh, fuck.
So that part is a lie.
Okay.
Specifically, you have to have someone that's very motivated in order to track, and you can easily shake them off, but your router's IP address can be accessed through that.
Got it.
So if I were to go on to 4chan right now and just post random shit, if someone really got a wild hair up their ass again, or a plug, who knows?
Listen, did something happen in the household? Did you have little things happen betwixt the sheets, and you need to talk about it with somebody?
Is it Watership Down over there right now? What the hell's happening?
I mean, water shit down?
My therapist says I don't have to talk about it, so I'm sorry. We're gonna have to save this for after dark.
Well, hair today, gone tomorrow, apparently.
True that. But you can easily get around this and have your IP address, like if you use a VPN. Or essentially that the whole idea that you can post freely on these websites and not get doxxed, essentially where someone can figure out your identity, is kind of a myth. Unless you're smart and you are computer savvy. But I can't just go on there and be like, I think everyone should die or something like that. Like, there have been... I recall back when I lurked on 4chan, there were a couple of cases where people would talk about blowing up their schools or something like that, and people from 4chan would actually figure out and connect those posts with people and get them
reported. There have been good things that have come from that horrifically fucked up site.
Very rarely, but yes.
Okay.
Other than gushing grannies.
And blood lube.
Blood lube is mine, thank you.
I would say that we have used more trigger words in this episode than in any of the others over the past year or so.
Well, trigger is just a dog's name, my friend.
Speaking of trigger words, 40 extra large subs being code for 40 satanic sacrifices. That's all right.
Well done.
Good job.
Cheese pizza is actually can be considered code. And the funny part was that the reason why I knew that people had done that is because that is actually a code for some worse image boards on 4chan. The ones that I never went to. I went to a Video Game General and I followed my waifu at the time because, again, I wasn't that much of an edgelord, as much as I like to say. Yes. It was a dating simulator. I followed their threads.
You are becoming more and more understandable as this goes on.
I mean, if we're not your therapists, my friend, I know this is a therapeutic activity, but you don't need to confess everything to us. I mean, I am technically a minister, but I don't need to hear your sins.
Parmesan.
The reason why I mention that is because there have been cases where people reference the use of cheese pizza, mainly in the pornographic boards, to denote people that are not of age.
Gross.
Exactly.
Grow up and be
so
an
the
adult.
fact that these people from a website that has been known to do that in the past were searching for it, I thought was almost ironic. Saying, "Oh, we know this. We know the kind of things that to search for because we've done it ourselves."
Can we also harken back to our own material here and say that it is really funny and illustrative of the tumble dryer society that we exist in, that we are known to say most of the religious affiliations that people have with Satan and any allusions to being affiliated with the Dark Lord are intended by their nature to be incendiary and they are doing this just to inflame individuals of other religious beliefs. And then it, by process of, how it's manifested, everyone's like, oh, it's all Satanists. All these Satanists are doing these things. It's like, okay, so you've fed into the system, and now it's coming back around that, oh, yes, it's always all these Satanists, where if you took 5 seconds to really investigate any church affiliated with Satan, you would note they don't really believe in some, fallen angel or demonic entity that they are deriving their power from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last lie, I'm surprised you guys didn't get it. His last name is Welch, but he's not of Welch's the Juice.
I thought, but I felt so
to John's credit, he was shaking his head while you were saying it, so I thought he was going to call it, and that's why I started joking. I felt
so slap happy by that point where, I'd said so many, I stabbed at so many things, and I was like, you know what? I don't give a shit. This is all fucking so ludicrous.
But I had to bite with that one because I'm like, his last name is Welch. I can't say no to that.
Plus,
that's just too
we
easy.
had a lot of fun because of it. So thank you for that.
Well, yeah. So that's
so what's
intro, QAnon 101, and Pizzagate.
What happens on part 2?
So part 2, I think instead of covering more, I will probably cover the intro of QAnon. I probably won't cover a lot of their theories or a lot of their conspiracies, but I'll cover more the events that are associated with QAnon.
Okay. Now, we can tease that Q is a time traveler like Bill and Ted, right?
Isn't that a Star Trek reference?
Bill and Ted?
No, Q. I know who Bill and Ted are. I've seen the first 2 movies.
No, Q is, we've talked about this. Q is a James Bond character. That's what they're alluding to.
Oh. But yeah, so that's it.
Well,
that's the
that
episode.
was very entertaining and enlightening and juicy.
And how?
Oh, much juice.
We're
We're also sponsored by Welch's, just so you guys
not
know.
after this episode, we're not.
Actually, sorry. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to cut that part. So we're actually sponsored by Juicy Juice, and that's why I decided to throw in that last lie there.
Oh, I see. Well,
drink some Juicy Juice.
Michael, how about a nice Hawaiian punch?
Now,
so with mango?
If you're talking about the SNL character Mango, yes, I bet you'd go for it.
Huh? Anyway, you were saying, John,
hello?
Take me out of this awkward. Huh?
I was gonna say, if we want to get onto the end, if we're gonna land and we're gonna leave the episode here, tie it back into the top 5.
Not my pizza.
And Michael, if you want to report back next week with your top 5 island directors to have their collected works, you can. But I think I have mine. I wrote them almost immediately after, or right before we started. I just knee-jerk reactions. So I didn't want to think too hard about it. I just wanted to just really roll with it.
It's a good idea. And I've always said the rules of this game are always that this is not something that is intended to last eternally. This is just something that kind of, it comes up. It's intended to be on the sperm of the moment, as I tend to say. And you do want to sort of, just roll with the punches, give me your top 5 directors.
Yeah. So what I have here, and it's in no particular order because,
right. And also, the caveat is, again, you're just going to be watching these people's material. So it's not necessarily saying they're just your favorite directors, but you want to kind of have something that's going to last you when you're stuck on an island with no other entertainment.
Yeah, so the number, or the first one that I wrote down was purely from that approach, and Steven Spielberg, I think, has such a wealth of movies that it'd be worthwhile to have him on there. Even if I don't love all of his movies, just he's gone a lot of different areas with his directing,
Mm-hmm.
and some of those movies in there are just generally, lifetime enjoyable over and over
absolutely.
again. I threw Martin Scorsese on there because not only are most of his movies fantastic, but also they are long. So you are going to do the, you're going to pass more time having them on.
Mm-hmm. And also for the overlap of our Venn diagram here, because that also falls into some of the categories I'm going to be talking about. You also have someone who has a very broad array of material that they've done, because, Kundun is in the man's wheelhouse here. He's not just always, though people tend to associate him just with the crime films, he has done things in many genres and has a wide spectrum of material that he's offered. So Scorsese's a good one to go with.
For sure. I also threw Tarantino on there just because I don't think I'd be able to exist without watching any Tarantino movie ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And I need your help, Shane or Michael. The dude who did Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, the Cornetto trilogy as they call it, he did Scott Pilgrim.
No, I almost said Simon Pegg, but he wasn't the director.
Yeah, he did Baby Driver as well, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to be spacing on it, but he was the gentleman that they originally hired on to do Ant-Man as well, right?
Yeah,
Edgar Wright?
Edgar Wright. There you go. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
And then finally, Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
Or Nolan Brothers, if you will. I guess I missed Cohen. I missed Cohen in there, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I will start off Cohen Brothers as a definite for my own here. I'm giving Michael a little more time to formulate thoughts. Because again, the sheer breadth and depth of their material between, from Blood Simple all the way through Raising Arizona into, Lebowski and everything. And then also your Inside Llewellyn Davis, on top of True Grit.
Wait, the Coen brothers did Raising Arizona?
Yeah. Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah, the Coen brothers are all over the board, man. Their film, one of my absolute favorites of the Coens is No Country for Old Men, which is not something you would have typically correlated with them if you just saw it on a poster somewhere. That does not strike you as one of their films. So they have a lot of shades and gradients they work with. I just went down a Fincher hole recently, and so David Fincher still being my favorite director, he factors in there. Ridley Scott, I'm going to throw in.
I debated throwing him in there as well.
Yes. Tarantino, of course, because I cannot pass up on Tarantino. And then the last spot is either going to be, I have an argument, a war with myself. If I'm trying to fill in niches that I haven't touched, I thought about Kevin Smith. But if I really am being true to myself, I'd probably go Scorsese as well. But those are the two warring factions presently because I need something that's a little more. Kevin Smith has done horror films at this point and is adding another one into the world this year. So that'll be interesting. But also just, I love his oeuvre, as weird as it is.
Is it Moose Jaws?
No, it's a slasher horror that is based on some sort of pumpkin-headed thing. I forgot. I saw the trailer and it's left my brain already.
Let's just hope that he doesn't cast his daughter in it because I don't think
he did.
Okay,
come on.
Oof.
This is his wheelhouse now. As he's been casting his friends from the moment that he started, sir. So it's not going to change.
Is Johnny Depp's daughter in there as well?
I'm not certain she's in it, but we'll have to do a little research and dive in. So those are my picks. Now, Michael, I want to, again, you have the two cineists amongst us who are going to all obviously offer, and he and I share a lot of similar tastes, so we've covered a lot of things that are on the same sort of levels here. So I'm keen to hear what you would consider to be, your faves.
So I would definitely go for something like the Coen brothers because I loved Raising Arizona because it's a Nick Cage flick, but also John Goodman is a great actor.
That is
and the fact that it was shot in Tempe, and the store that he stole diapers from was actually at the Safeway that's right next to a university, the main university in Tempe. That's cool. And the last shot in there was actually at the Sun Devil Stadium. Before they built up a lot of the stuff that's there now.
Okay, so
really cool. I like that sort of
by
connection.
The same rationale, you're going to throw Hitchcock in here because the opening sequence of Psycho features, downtown Phoenix. Is that?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're fired. It's the westward hoe or the valley hoe, depending.
Oh, shit.
The opening scene is a helicopter shot that flies into the hotel there. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So it would a lot of my picks would probably be I would say Kubrick because I really love The Shining, and I haven't seen a lot of his movies. Considering how much I enjoy The Shining, I would want to see his sort of cinematography, how he directs.
2001: A Space Odyssey is another too. One. Full Metal Jacket.
You're right. I've forgotten about that.
I have not seen either.
I actually, and you're going to be upset. I haven't seen that.
Eyes Wide Shut. There's a Kubrick's
but there's a lot
fantastic.
of good ones. Yes, exactly. So I'd want to do that. The Coen brothers. I guess Hitchcock. Yes, because the way that he describes horror would be really interesting to me because I can't remember the exact quote, and you might be able to help me, Shane, but it's the idea that it's not that there's a bomb underneath and that the audience knows that there's a bomb, it's that when it's going to go off. Yes. It's something to that effect.
The idea is that it's always more terrifying what you manifest in your mind than what you actually present on the screen. So something that is occurring off screen has a great deal more tension. So yes, it's the ticking bomb principle, is you don't know when the bomb's going to go off. So it's anticipatory.
Yes. And then I think it's, I'll just say, I think he's Mike Flanagan, the guy that did Dr. Sleep. I know he's done other movies.
So you're grabbing at any name that you can remember from a director now?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I'm on a sort of horror or like a very intellectual side of it, almost like, I wouldn't say existential horror, but like something to that effect, like. That's why I gravitated more towards the Kubrick and the Hitchcock, because they didn't have a lot of the fancy CGI and stuff to use, so they had to rely. The thing that I always think about when I think of existential horror, there was a YouTube video that I watched years ago. I'm not going to drone on about it, but the idea is that, like, I think it was Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil game on the PlayStation. They had the fog that obscured everything because the PlayStation's graphics were so, like, yes, it couldn't handle it. So instead of rendering far and making it look like crap, they only rendered very small close-up areas and they obscured the rest with fog. But that created such a tension, like, it terrified you because you didn't know what you were going to run into. And so I think I gravitate more towards those older movies because these directors, these pieces had to rely more on that sort of unknown, and they couldn't just animate it.
Yeah, same principle exists with Alien for Ridley Scott, and that same, that, you know, the drama is what you don't see, also you're...
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I will watch that documentary for the making of Alien over and over and over again.
Yes.
It's endlessly fascinating how in the 70s that they pulled off such a rich... Like, the set design alone, and I think that's kind of what Michael's getting at, like, using... practical effects, you know, like using ways to, you know, to make it larger than life while not having what the modern luxuries that we have. Like, if CGI existed, I don't think Alien actually would have been as effective.
Right, and it's the Jaws principle, to harken back to Spielberg as well, of just like, you know, the less you see is better, because you don't want to actually have to pull this thing out of the water all the time, so that when it actually does happen, that shock is really impactful. But the other thing is John Carpenter's The Thing was the first thing that popped into my mind as well.
Thank you.
Where you manifest something like that, where you don't show it for a very long time, and then because it's also us, when they do start morphing it into other things, it's even more shocking because you've kind of been lulled into this weird false sense of security, and then your paranoia ramps up. So yeah, good call there.
I would also, I think I'm at, 3 or 4?
I think you're at 4.
I'll just end it. Okay, so then I would say Carpenter, in part because he actually, I think he also composed at least a couple of his movies. He's actually a composer of music right now, and I've listened to a lot of his stuff.
The Halloween theme is a Carpenter. He did,
yes, that's what he does nowadays instead of direct, and it's almost an aja-inducing, like. That sort of, you don't know how it's going to go. It's very tensiony, but it's not like it's going to drive you crazy with it. It's just like that little like the Halloween theme is a very apt description for the kind of music that he does.
I would know 6-8 anywhere.
You would really also enjoy getting to have, you know, They Live in your wheelhouse at any given moment as well. I came here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum. Well, thank you for going down the rabbit hole with me, gentlemen. I will probably start doing this a little more frequently with things, because it's fun to kind of get to know us better, but also it's a good conversation starter for me.
Yeah, that was a good decompression off of the,
the 40 extra large subs that we dealt with.
I prefer the 40 extra large DOMs is more of my way to approach things. So
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Though I can't imagine them getting along at all.
That's why it's fun to watch.
Exactly. That's entertaining TV, baby.
Well, thank you all for being here as per usual, disinformants and ladies and germaphobes. We are always happy to have you. Please keep coming back weekly. Also, as I missed this during our social networking plugs, I need to get back into the habit of adding this. Every Friday, you can find our video companion podcast on YouTube, Disinformed After Dark, which we are going to be cutting to in mere moments once we finish this episode, where we will decompress and we will let our files compress from this recording session, and we will talk about more hypothetical things brought to us by Chuck Klosterman in most instances, but may also be brought to us by me in the future, and all of us if we start coming up with some more Desert Island Top 5 discussions that we can get into.
Ooh.
And since you're going to be engaged with us on social networking, it is going to be very important because we have something that's going to require you being engaged with our social networks. We are planning on putting up a poll on our Twitter account for all of you lovely listeners to be able to vote on what the next fan fiction we will be reading and recording will be. And so, Michael, do you have the pitch again for which stories we plan to present to everybody?
Yeah, I can do that. So we have Crazy, Stupid, Insane Love, wherein Cthulhu meets some other elder gods for a spicy rom-com.
Which I'm intrigued by immensely.
Right.
We have My Immortal, the sequel, the unofficial fan sequel, written in the same prose as the original.
That.
We have M Not Okay, Ravens, the character Willow, fanfic. Very similar, but significantly better quality. And then Hogwarts School of Prayer and Miracles, the Christian version of Harry Potter, written by a housewife.
A bored housewife, in fact.
Yes, as we discussed last week.
I think something that we can also do, because our socials are... Our collective social, like Disinformed, is still kind of fresh. Like, we don't have as much following there. We can all take to our own personals as well and create a no context, even if you've not heard the podcast. And I hope, that maybe we can direct them to listen then. But maybe with those options, just, throw up a little Instagram poll or a Facebook post of like, which one of these sounds more intriguing to you? Just no context. If an audiobook existed for one of these 4 things, what would you want?
Would you rather?
Yeah.
There you go.
So I'll get on that on my end too.
Cool.
Sounds perfectly reasonable. So we will also include a link to that Twitter post, which we'll leave up for a week, let's say, to give us ample time for everybody to have access. And that will be a week from when we post this on Monday. So you can all join in, because I believe the air date for this particular episode is going to be Monday, the 21st of September. So we will leave that thing up through the 28th, and then, we'll have our decision at that point.
We'll see you in the future, baby.
Oh, yes. Flashing forward and flash dancing. Okay, that just sounds fun. So, anything else that we would like to add in, gentlemen, before we go relieve ourselves of our lives and ambitions?
Hail Satan and birds aren't real.
Indeed. Parmesan be praise.
Good points.
And, as Hitchcock would say, it's, all for the birds.
Anyway.
Yes, well, I believe that is going to wrap everything up into a glorious, compressed, and painful panini. So for the Disinformed podcast, I am Shane.
I'm John.
And I'm Michael.
And in the words of our warrior poet, Gerard Wee, so long and good night.
So long and good night.